and it let out this blood-curdling, guttural scream.
On the side of the road, he sees a deer carcass and something eating on it, which he thought was a bear. And as the lights hit it, it stood up. And, like, this gives me chills talking about it. He said it stood up and it had the face of a man.
Hello and welcome to another episode of Friday Night Bigfoot Live, right here at the Bigfoots of America Podcast Show. I'm your host, Bryan Sawyer, coming at you. Good to be back. We missed last week, and then we had to change the time from 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time to 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. That's going to free me up to do some overtime at work. I work midnights, but also come the summertime, that's going to help me if I want to do a podcast show, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on a Friday night. I can still take off out of here and get out into the woods. Well, good to see everybody. Thanks for being here. Going to try to pull you up here on, get the comments going on YouTube and Facebook. So, yeah, everybody, thanks for being here. Today's guest, and we'll go ahead and we'll bring her in right now. One of my right-hand people, Sherry Redu. How you doing?
Hello, Bryan. Hello, everybody.
Good to see you. So how's your last couple of weeks been, Sherry?
Very cold and snowy.
Man, that's everywhere, isn't it? You know, I had to go buy another load of propane tanks for the studio here to warm things up. So happy to have that back in order with everything. And boy, really looking at 2026. So with that in mind, got some announcements to make. Everything. I guess the key, Sherry, is to not be too busy in 2026 and get everything done that's on this list here. So
Okay.
number one, we're going to have an improved website. I'm farming that out to a company, and it's just going to be a lot smoother. I won't have to deal with that anymore. If you're an eyewitness and you want to be on the Bigfoots of Michigan TV series or the Bigfoots of America podcast show, you'll be able to go right to Bigfoots of Michigan, right back there, and sign up, get an appointment, sign up for either show, and then we'll get that locked down for filming and recording sessions. So that's what's going to happen. One of our primary things, and in fact, that's going to happen, I think, by April is what I'm looking at right now. Then number two, really excited about this. Going to festivals is kind of going to the new level. I'm going to be at 2 or 3 with the NCI team down in the southern states. But then here in Michigan, I'm going to be at a couple as well. And when we're there, we're going to have our new coffee mugs. We're going to add, so we've got Bigfoots of Michigan, right? We've got 2 styles. Right back here, we got these 2 styles of Bigfoots of Michigan mugs. And then we're going to add the Bigfoots of America podcast show mug as well. The hats, bumper stickers, all that kind of stuff. But yeah. And that'll be when we're doing our mobile podcast show. We'll have people there at Eyewitnesses, do live shows, and then also have our merchandise for sale. And as I always say, we are not merchandise or money driven here at the Bigfoots of America podcast show. In my gut, it's like we're all paying too much every day for too many things as it is, whether it be gas for our cars. Heck, my heating bill is between $300 and $400 a month right now. There's too many other costs out there. So if I can keep it cheap and free, that's what I'm going to do. The only thing we are asking money for is $4.99 a month on our YouTube station, YouTube channel. And if you're a subscriber to the $4.99, and that'll be the ceiling, we're not going to raise that. you're going to get, if we get any Bigfoot information or any Bigfoot evidence, you're going to get it first if you're a gold member on the Bigfoots of America YouTube channel. Now, with that said, AI and CGI, Sherry, between the two of them, how are we ever going to be able to tell what's real and what's not real? For us, we're grounded because we got the Patterson Gimlin film. We've got, hey, here's another one. Like if you're out there and you're listening to this, you're watching the show and you don't believe in Bigfoot, you think we're all a bunch of crackpots. The reason why, or one of the reasons why, is because it's just like anything else. You have to study up. You have to learn more about it. And this book here, Paul Freeman, The Bigfoot Files, is another bit of evidence to help you in the right direction. Sherry, what do you think is one of the biggest reasons that people don't believe in Bigfoot?
I would have to say that a lot of it could be associated to the fact of what we would say lack of visual evidence or interaction with evidence with a Bigfoot. You know, a lot of the footsteps. You know, yeah, you could say, yeah, somebody made those, or it's a hoax, or however. But the reality, even when we do video an instant, and we have seen videos of instances where hunters have encountered these Bigfoot while they were hunting, and yet people will throw darts at it, saying, "Oh, that's just somebody in a costume," But the reality of it is that that those videos are real, and the doubt that people have, it's going to get harder with the AI, creations that are happening because they look so real and they're amazing, but they again will throw more doubt into the soup, about the Bigfoots, and the realism of them, But when I look at it from more of an evidence driven point of view, we know the characteristics that the Bigfoots have. We know that when we see a Bigfoot running, they run very fast and their stride is very wide. When I see little footsteps running, that tells me that is probably not the right gait for Bigfoot. We learn things, we learn traits through studying these things and reading about them, and actually studying the evidence that's found in the field. Especially on the footprints, because they do have an identity attached to them. So there's things that from a witness and experienced investigator point of view, we have more of the I would say tools to identify what is real and what could be potentially AI or not real at all.
Right. If you go to everybody at home, if you go to our YouTube channel or any of our social media platforms, more than likely there's a video on there that I released called The Forest People Footprints. Now, I can't confirm in the beginning of that video, I can't confirm the Sasquatch that's standing there kind of next to a tree and behind some tree limbs, I think it is. I can't confirm whether that's real or not. But all the footprints and the picture of the Sasquatch, who I believe is the Bigfoot I have a relationship with, his name is Scout. I believe that's a picture of Scout because ever since that moment when he barked at me, he gave me a bark, and I set the camera down, I panned, and the reason why this one's a little bit grainy is because I panned the camera real quick, and I caught him looking out from behind the tree. It's been from that moment on that I've heard the mind speak. I didn't believe in mind speak until it happened to me. And then multiple encounters at the house, been some exchanges of footprints and Y sticks. I've talked about all that. And then, Sherry, guess what happened last night?
I can't even imagine.
I am I was at a location, and I'm not giving out the location. Sometimes when I get out of work and it's still dark, I go swing by a couple of different locations. I got shoved.
Oh,
Not a
wow.
mean, not a mean shove, but a very forceful little push.
Hmm.
Okay, in my back, and I turned around, and at that moment, I wasn't even by like too many trees or anything. Okay, I was in a little bit of an open space. It took a little bit for me to get to the position or where I was. I'm like, it's so cold out here, I can't spend much time. And then it happened. I got that, and I turn around and nothing's there. And this has kind of been the relationship I've had with this scout. And then what happens is I gift. It's almost like, hey, I'd like a gift. So that has been the interesting. And so the only thing I've been perplexed about is it the same? Is it the same Sasquatch at two different locations, or are they two different Sasquatch? That's what I'm looking at. So that's the only thing I'm confused about. Is it one or two different Sasquatch? So 2026, we're going to find out more about that because, like you, Sherry, I believe Naboo was watching you for quite some time before he revealed himself.
Yes.
Now my Sasquatch, so to speak, are familiar with me, and so they're interacting with me. But then, like Matthew Sexton said, it took him 10 years. Actually, took him, he was at a prime location, actually, and then he got frustrated because he had all the evidence except a visual. And so he went to a different location, actually saw one out there. And then when he came back, it's almost like they communicate with each other. This is the paranormal, interdimensional stuff. We don't know how it works. And it's almost like they're like, all right, Matthew's good to go. He's not here to hurt us or anything. So then he was able to start seeing them. Well, Matt had told me this, and it's like line upon line. They put you through almost like a boot camp. Hey, they'll show you a footprint. Hey, they'll give you a gift. You'll exchange. Hey, you'll hear the samurai chat. Hey, you'll hear the one talk. This is all stuff that's happened to me. I'll hear the one howl. All this stuff. And then finally, it was funny because I was thinking we had Daryl Denton on the NCI show. Also, everybody at home, if you're subscribed to the Bigfoots of America podcast show on YouTube, also go to North Carolina Investigates on YouTube. Like and subscribe to them as well. I'm part of that group. Tuesdays and Thursdays, we do live shows on there. But we had a guest on it, also on the Bigfoots of America podcast show, a guy by the name of Daryl Denton. And he had such a close relationship with the Sasquatch that he was actually able to touch hands. And so, like me, this is the first time I got touched. And I turn around and nothing's there, but I go, oh my gosh, you're here. I kind of expressed myself in a happy way. I'm like, oh my gosh, you are here. You turn around, and there was enough light to where I could see, and nothing was there. So, Scout, or it could be this other Bigfoot, maybe a female. I'm like, this is so cool how it's been a progressive type of relationship along the way. And then we also have another report of another clan. Oh my gosh, so much. You take a week off, Sherry, and it gets crazy. So I'm part of a new group called I'm from Sandusky, Michigan, not Sandusky, Ohio. It's a group on Facebook. And through that, all of a sudden, I'm getting more stories. There are way more, and I've said this a million times, but there are way more Sasquatch, even in the thumb alone, than we ever imagined. I'm getting so many stories from people about, yes, I saw this in the woods, and I didn't tell anybody, or I heard this, and I always knew they were watching me, and thank you for speaking up and all that kind of stuff. So anyways, this is the show. If you want to get some information out there, if you want to tell your story, you go ahead, get a hold of us, whether it's on Messenger, follow me on Facebook, or go to bigfootsofamerica@gmail.com or bigfootsofmichigan@gmail.com. Email us, and we'll get you on the show. And with that said, we got to go on with the intro. Town hall meetings That's an all go. We're going to lock down some locations by March or April, and then we'll announce those to everybody. They will be in, right now, they will be in Traverse City and Monroe, Michigan. I think we're just doing 2. So, Sherry, you're going to run the one in Traverse City. We talked about that before. We are still going to probably do up to 5 eyewitness interviews. I might have a couple to do in the UP. I'm talking to some people up there. But Donna Copus, if you're out there and you're listening, I haven't checked the comments yet. If you're out there and listening, we do have to redo Donna Copus. You know, I sat down and I filmed her episode, and you talk about some crazy stuff. As I go through the footage to get ready to edit, I'm like, how did this scene go wrong? I don't remember anything being wrong in this particular scene. And the scene I'm talking about is we were in front of an empty field. And you'll see it in the episode. And Donna was explaining to me about a house that used to be in this field and how suddenly the whole family had disappeared one night. Whether it be a UFO encounter, alien encounter, they were abducted, but this family disappeared and were never found. I'm recording her, and she did so well, it broke my heart. But the footage, you know, before we got on, we were talking about white noise, Sherry, it's like white noise. I'm like, I'm filming her just like I've been filming her all day. But this particular scene here, and I want that scene in the episode so bad, but I got to redo it. How does that happen? That's the freaky stuff. It is all about geographical locations. I just got a hold of, now let's read it. Well, let me finish these, and then we're going to read a couple of eyewitness accounts, okay? We're going to get back to the giveaways. We talked about the hats, the cups. Those will be coming back. March, April, we'll do a giveaway a month where you can get a free coffee mug, all that kind of stuff. But I know you always smile about this one, Sherry.
Yeah.
The Golden Bigfoot treasure hunt is going to happen. As of right now, it's still going to happen in 2027. I'm formulating now. Sherry, even you are going to be able to enter into this treasure hunt. I don't like you, like if you work for a company and they're like, well, everybody, and well, they could find, no, nobody's going to know where the treasure's at except me. And I've been thinking about it for a couple of weeks now, and making out bullet points of how it's going to be constructed. And I want to talk to Haley because she's involved in all those as well. But you're going to be able to find this guy, whether he's going to be dipped in gold or not. I'm not sure. We'll see how, because gold, as everyone at home knows, gold prices. So I'm starting to purchase all the gold and all the silver that is going to go in this treasure. So I think we're going to do 3. We're going to do gold, silver, and copper. So actually, this is all copper here as well. So I got to figure out how much I want it to weigh, all this kind of stuff. And then we'll see how many entries we're going to allow and all that. I'm even going to throw in this really neat handmade copper plaque. And if people can see this at home, that is actually a plaque of Beowulf killing or fighting against Grendel's mother, which is known to be a dragon in the famous Beowulf narrative and story.
Wow.
So, yep. So that's going to happen. It looks like still in 2027. Super excited about that. You know, there's enough crazy stuff going on. I'm sure everybody's watching the news, the end times. It's rough out there. Regardless of what your politics are, it's rough out there. We have a lot of differing opinions. And so I just want to use this platform to spread a little joy, have some fun, keep this at an entertaining level, even though at times it gets very serious.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So I hit all my talking points, Sherry. Let me get some coffee here. All right, let me read a couple of, I love it. If you're at home, send in your Bigfoot paranormal eyewitness accounts so I can read them on air. So here we go. I think I'm able to do two. This one is from Mitchell McKenzie, and I hope to get Mitchell on the show. Hi, I'm Mitch, 32 years old with a wife and 2 kids. Normally, I'm a paranormal person, but have taken heavy interest in dogmen and Bigfoot and other human-like creatures that extend far back in history. I'm always going to say this. I saw a fairy right in front of my face. It was like a mini human, beautiful little fairy, bluish gray color, right in front of my face. Definitely a female. All right. So normally I'm a paranormal person, but have taken heavy interest in dogmen, Bigfoot, and other human-like creatures that extend far back into history. Well, one summer evening, the wife and I are camping 10 minutes from his home state campground, and we have other campers around camping in the campground as well, but just a few of them. He says, I play guitar and violin, and I had my 12-string guitar, acoustic guitar, out there that night at camp. I found real music from strings in the woods, bring the spirit of the woods to life. Anyways, we had a classic Northern Michigan tent night. So he says he doesn't want to give out the location. So somewhere in Northern Michigan in the Lower Peninsula, I believe. He said they had pizza. We had pizza pockets and s'mores and a very nice fire. We had camped there before and felt absolutely safe. As the sun set, we noticed a state cop pull slowly through the campground, never stopping, just looking and watching attentively around. It's weird because we don't normally have cops at that campground. And unless there's a disturbance and they're called, they usually don't show up. So a little weird, but no big deal. Midnight rolls around and all the campers are starting to go asleep, and the wife and I are getting ready for bed. The coals in the fire are starting to die down. The chill in the air creeps in like sand building in the corners of a dusty, unfinished attic. I have to pee, so I walk over to the tree line to relieve myself, and the next thing I know, there's something dead, sprinting, running straight at me from the lake. And it's thick. It's a very thick physical being coming from the woods. Oh, he says, and there's like a drop off there. So there's thick woods and a straight drop off there to the lake. He says, this thing is booking at me on 2 feet, not 4. He says, my curiosity as I'm standing there, relieving myself, slowly turns to caution as it's getting closer and closer, and it's very fast. And when it sounded like was close enough to grab me, I knew it was near it, and the only thought I had was to fight or be killed. The moment my caution moved to action and kill mode, it turned right and ran right down the drop-off, and I heard 2 splashes, each foot hitting the water, and then nothing. He said, I didn't see that it had any tracks, and recently hearing stories around my area that a couple of Bigfoot encounters involved similar things where they couldn't find tracks or maybe one footprint at a time. He said, this absolutely blew my mind. He said, I would love to dive into everything with you guys and get a hold of me in the near future. So yes, I'm getting a hold of Mitchell. Hope to get him on the show to talk a little bit about that. What are your thoughts, Sherry? To me, that is,
Classic.
I hate to say it, classic. They love having fun.
Yeah, absolutely. And you know, it's not the first time I've heard somebody in the woods relieving themselves and having an encounter.
He's incapacitated, right?
Yeah, exactly. That's interesting, though, to dive off that bluff by the water's
Oh,
edge.
yeah.
I'm not surprised, though, either, from where I've been at. And my vantage points is seeing, you know, my encounter over there as well, by the lakes. They hang out by the lakes. They certainly do. And Wow, that's a great encounter. And boy, would I love to talk to Mitch.
Yeah, so hopefully we'll get him on the show as
Hmm.
well. On the NCI show, we were talking about the land between the lakes down there in Kentucky, and it's
Yeah.
just what you said. It is this rectangle that is surrounded by water. And I've talked to Matt Sexton and I, have pointed out that usually when they're bedding down in an area that's maybe surrounded by water. Maybe they feel more safe, or it's easier for them to hear us coming. Jerry Millwood from the NCI team, he has an area where, hey, they're hiding out on a peninsula as well.
Yep. Yep.
All right.
Absolutely.
All right. Here's another guy I want to get on the show. Donna Copus hooked me up with him, and I'm sure he's got no problem with me reading this on the show right now. His name is Rick Stiltner. I believe he's from the area where Donna Copus is from, so southeastern Ohio. All right, let's go ahead and read his account. Let me get another drink of coffee here. And you're going to like this one. You're going to like this one, Sherry, because it has a commonality with portals and how they come and go. All right, so I'm going to say, all right, so here we go. Rick Stiltner, friend of Donna Copus, who I can't wait to meet. Donna and I are working on a schedule when I go down there to refilm it. Oh, then also, I got to tell you another thing. We're going to a festival. I'm meeting Donna down there and a few other people. All right, so Rick Stiltner, here we go. We had a wild encounter out at a cemetery in Adams County, and I believe that to be Ohio. It's out on a dead-end dirt road. Me and my wife were out walking around the old cemetery looking at all the old gravestones. There were birds chirping, and a woodpecker had been knocking on a tree, probably about 75 feet away from us inside the tree line. I glanced off through the forest and thought I saw something black go by quickly in the tree canopy out through there. I looked over at my wife and I asked her if she had seen something out there, and she said she didn't, so I dismissed it. About that time, all the birds in the area took off flying away. Then we heard that this woodpecker squawk and fly away. Then we heard a series of rapid, loud tree knocks on the tree where the woodpecker had been pecking on. Our eyes were then fixed on where the area and where the knocking was coming from. About this time, probably about 60 feet, there was one particular tree 60 feet away from us that started shaking violently. This tree was just inside the wood line, probably 75, maybe 100 feet away from this tree now, shaking. There were no other trees shaking, but only this one tree. This goes on for about a minute. It seemed like forever, and then suddenly stops. By this time, we are both just kind of in shock looking at each other. Like, what the F? Everything was quiet for a minute. Then we hear two big thuds off to our left. These thuds were so loud, I could almost feel the ground vibration from them, and it sounded like huge logs being dropped. By this time, we're both freaking out, and we go to the car and grab my phone. It's right at dusk, starting to get dark, and I turn my camera on, and I'm scanning around the cemetery. That's when I see the figure sitting in the tree line behind us, in the tree line edge behind us. I could see it moving, its head back and forth behind some brush on the edge of the cemetery. I took a couple of pictures and a short video. My phone made everything brighter as it was starting to be like dusk now, so I could see better through my phone. My wife wears glasses and couldn't see as good as I could through my phone, and I'm asking her, do you see this thing? And she says she couldn't see it. So she starts to walk over in that direction, and that's when I stopped filming. I could see it getting really antsy, and the hair on my arms started standing up. I told her, let's get in the car. About that time, the wind picked up. We agreed we needed to get out of there quickly because if a tree fell back there, we could be struck by it. and with no chainsaw, no self-service out there. So we left in a hurry. The way out goes back around below the hill where the cemetery is. And I snapped a few more pictures on the way out, expecting it to intercept us before we got out of there. But thankfully, we did not see anything. But when I got home, the 2 pictures I took had a strange light orbs around them and the other lights on the road. So they had a couple of strange light like orbs and other lights around on the road. I went back the next day and had Mandy take a picture of me in the spot where I'd seen it for its size comparison. You could see where something big was sitting in there in a little hollowed out area. All right, let me grab these pictures. I think too, Sherry, I'm going to have to switch to, like, I do everything on my phone now. I love the ease of it, but I'm going to have to switch to a laptop because then, like, as we're talking, we can add pictures to the screen and videos. But here, and I'm going to try to point this out if I can. And it's tough, you know. My job as a host is to believe what you're telling me. And this is always a very difficult subject because, in particular, this one location by me is the Sasquatch play off the shadows so well. Sometimes it's hard to distinguish between shadows and Sasquatch, and you got to get a picture the next day. And then people, oh, it's just pareidolia. And so it's a tough subject. But this, you can see a figure right, like its shoulders and its head, and right there. And I'll try to get that a little bit closer.
Oh, yeah.
So, yeah. And this is, of course, hold on a second here. Let's see what we got here. Any other ones? I like that one the best. Yeah. Yeah, to me, that's the best one. And then I haven't gone through the video yet. So you got the cemetery there. So we're going to dive into this one more with Rick Stiltner and try to get him on the show as well. Talk about this more. But what's the commonality there? Where did it happen, Sherry?
Yes, sir. I see that. It's by a cemetery, the shaking of the tree. Oh, my. I got chills when I was listening to that story.
Oh, did you?
Yes, it did. It was resonating with me quite a lot.
Oh, hey, Tim Dills is here. Let's go ahead and bring him in. But yeah, that's a commonality. Is cemeteries. So yeah, let's hit that point for a second. We'll bring Tim in. Cemeteries, state parks, why Indian reservation grounds, historic sites. Why are these areas so prevalent? This is just my opinion, and it's a common theme now in the Sasquatch world that if these beings are interdimensional and they portal in and out, they don't want to portal into somebody's neighborhood because the subdivision just got built with new homes and then accidentally they portal into somebody's living room. No, they want to portal in and out of areas that they know are still going to be there. And these things are ancient. You know, we're talking up of, what'd you say, Naboo, you think was 275 years of age, possibly?
Yep. Probably around 250 probably around 250 when I did the math and went back and looked at the dates.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, so these things are ancient, and so much of the topography changes. You know, cities are built, torn down, everything changes. Let's go ahead and bring Tim in right now. Tim,
hey, buddy boy.
What's going on,
Sherry?
How you doing?
Hey, Tim.
I'm doing good. just sitting here fiddling on the computer trying to get some audio files to work, and I thought, Boom Boom's on. I gotta get over there and watch Boom Boom.
Everybody at home, in case you didn't know, this is one of my counterparts on the NCI team, North Carolina Investigates. Go to your YouTube, put in North Carolina Investigates. We do live shows every Tuesday and Thursday. Tim is one of the ancient team members. I'm the newest guy, I think. But Tim, we were just talking about a little bit the land between the lakes and the commonality of Sasquatch and paranormal beings kind of nesting down and holding out on peninsula type areas. Tell us, for the folks at home, because we're Michigan based, and Sherry, tell us a little bit about the land between the lakes. You were just out there not too long ago. Even talk about is it Martin Short? Is that his name?
Martin Groves.
Martin Groves. Tell us a little bit about the land between the lakes in Kentucky.
It's one of those places, honestly, as soon as you pull up and as soon as you get anywhere in it, you're like, they could be anywhere. I mean, I've never seen any place like that in my life. It's just got its own vibe. It's got its own feel. It's one of them places that honestly that you just have to go and experience it to believe what I'm talking about. I mean, it for me, I went with the expecting, well, this, I've heard a lot about it and all of that stuff, so we'll see. And it lives up to the hype. It really does. That's the first time I've ever had anything paranormal happen to me. And I can't say that it was a ghost. It could have been a cloaked Bigfoot, whatever it was at the graveyard that pulled on the back of my coat. Because we had just got a blob on thermal and was watching it. And then just a few minutes, it pulled on something pulled on the back of my coat twice, enough to pull me off balance. And the first time it done it, I thought, well, I'm in land between the lakes. My mind's getting with me. I'm wanting something to happen. But then when it pulled me enough to make me step backwards, I was like, no, something just grabbed a hold of me. And it's right there where we camped at. We found the Dogman track. We had Bigfoots above it. There's a graveyard up above us where we camped, and Bigfoots was around there all the time. You could hear them trying to do the crow calls and all of that stuff, and the owl calls. And I'm trying to shut my phone off. There we go. But you could tell that it was the Bigfoots. You could hear them walking. I mean, just right outside of camp. When we went over to where the family got massacred. And I don't hear that good. I did have my hearing aids in, but we're walking down through there and I'm filming, and Robert mentioned something about hearing somebody talking. So we stop and listen, and nobody's around us. We go a little further and Jerry hears it. We go further and George hears it. We start to come back and I hear it. And for me to hear it, even when my hearing aids in, it had to be loud. I could hear them, a man and a woman talking. I could hear them walking in the leaves. You could hear the leaves are moving, everything. And just stuff like that it's incredible. It really is. If anybody ever gets a chance, they need to go. I mean, that would be the Empire State Building of the Squatching and cryptid paranormal. I mean, even when we went to get breakfast, we would go across this big bridge, and one half of the lake would be socked in with fog, just like as a knife could. The other side wouldn't have nothing. It'd be sunny and everything, but the other side would be so socked in you couldn't hardly see. It's just, and talking to Martin, I think him and his friends have found over 400 grave sites in land between the lakes.
Wow.
Yeah.
Now, Martin, I
They-
just saw I saw his episode on the History Channel. Everybody knows Monster Quest is now making another run on the History Channel. And I saw Martin's episode. And just to paraphrase, and you can help me with this, Tim, Martin was with somebody else. Martin's a former sheriff or policeman. And then you probably know it better than I do. I just remember, I think a fireman was killed by a dog man, and then the dog man was running next to Martin's truck or whatever.
Yeah. Martin and his friend was in our turkey hunting, and they met this guy. And the guy told him, said, be careful because something is coming in around my camp overnight, and I don't know what it is. And him and Martin and his friend went to their camp and had a dogman attack. He said the only time that he could move is when he started praying. He said he felt that was the only thing that held it back. And it finally, it got to where he could move, and him and his buddy took off, and it was following and chasing them. And he thought about going and telling that guy, and he didn't. And come to find out, the guy got killed that night, the night that Martin and them had their encounter. The guy got killed in his camp.
Why do you think, Tim, in a general note, I asked Sherry this, we're in this thick now. All of us are. We're in this deep. And the deeper you get, the more you learn. But why does the general population still think it's a big joke? We had I got in contact. Let me pull this up real quick. And I'll show you what still goes on. If I can read this. Hold on a second here. All right. So basically, people still make fun of Bigfoot and all that, and it's kind of sad. We had an encounter. I had a couple people get a hold of me about a sighting here in Clay Township, but basically, it was a hoax. I thought I took the account, but they do this. Hey, I saw a Bigfoot, Clay Township, blah blah, and then at the end, it's like, and I made all this up. Ha ha ha. So it's still the butt of the joke. Why do you think that more people don't believe in Sasquatch? I mean, we're lightening up the UFOs now.
Yeah. One reason I think it is because, number one, they've not experienced it. I mean, when you experience it, there's no denying it. And I tell people when we talk at conferences and stuff, I'm not a believer, I'm a knower. I've seen them within 20 feet of me. I know they exist. And nothing nobody says or does is ever going to change that. But people want to be snug in their own little world, like, well, I ain't never seen one. So if I ain't seen it, it can't exist. You know what I mean? But and one reason maybe is because they don't want to have to deal with that demon. Not saying it's a demon, but they don't want to have to face the reality of something's out there that they can't control, and they don't know where it's at. It could be outside their, next time they go fishing, it could be behind a tree watching them. It could be on the hill watching them hunt, just like they have me. But some people just don't want that reality that they can't control everything that's going on. And one thing I think, just like we know that a lot of the media platforms do, I think they put out a lot of stuff just to try to get it discredited so that people don't pay attention to it. Because the more, the UFO thing started out with a small group, and then it grew and grew and grew, and then it got to where they had to admit it. And I think the same thing goes with the Bigfoots and dogmen and all the other cryptids out there. Sooner or later, they're going to have to admit it. So right now, they're just playing it off. You still got people that don't believe that they're spraying and doing weather manipulation. I mean,
Right, chemtrails.
Yeah,
Mhm.
and there was a guy. I posted some of the pictures of the Bigfoots and stuff that we've got, and this guy started argued with me for 4 days,
Oh my.
and and he finally said, "Well, actually, I know they're real. I've seen one. I just wanted to get a rise out of you." And I'm like, "So you just wanted to be a jerk for 4 days?" I mean, some people are just like that, unfortunately.
Yeah, that's ridiculous. All right, let's take a little break here. Tennessee, Kentucky, Bigfoot says, "Hey, Tim, Stub Muffin, good to see you."
They wasn't
All
supposed to say
right.
that.
Let's see. Hey, Virax, I dreamed of a Bigfoot the other night. He was about 10 to 12 feet tall, dark black. Maybe he walked one direction, turned back, and walked the other way. Maybe foretelling. That's very interesting because I've had my Bigfoot dreams. Oh, Tim, did you hear what I said earlier? I got shoved by what I believe was a Bigfoot. I say last night, but it was actually early this morning when I got out of work. I got shoved from behind. I was at a location and I'm just kind of, it's too cold here. So I'm only going out for a few minutes to take a quick look around. And I got shoved like how you just said you got pulled on. You got tugged on. That's what happened. It was enough shove. And then I turn around and nothing's there. And I'm like, oh my gosh, you're here. And so I knew with my relationship that's now ongoing with this one in particular Sasquatch, I knew it was time to get them some food. So that was great. Hold on a second. Pulling up some of these comments. Jump over to, all right, Facebook. Brendan Goodwin says the Freeman footage is great. Yeah, so if you're a non-believer, of course, the Patterson Gimlin we believe is real. Look up the Paul Freeman footage. Believe that one to be real. To me, that is a great video of a Bigfoot. Its head is forward, kind of sunken in its shoulders, and the thing is huge. Brenda Goodwin also says that people fear what they don't understand. Brenda Goodwin says, mine may have watched me grow up playing in those woods. And we've talked about that before, where sometimes you form a connection with some of these. Jerry Lou Patterson says, hey, everybody. E. Pluribusto says, hello. Dennis Dean. You know what, Tim, sooner or later, Sherry, all you guys, I'm going to bring you to the Thumb of Michigan, and we're going to do some investigating. But just before Christmas, Dennis Dean, who now lives in Wisconsin, he grew up in Cass City. And we sat down and we talked about just the vast amount of encounters he knew about here in the Thumb of Michigan alone, and one of those being where it ripped the dog apart and stole out the chickens out of the chicken coop. I did a drive-by there. It correlated with another sighting, and then that's where I found that footprint in the snow right before Christmas. Enrique Ricardo Zambrano says sometimes when he's in the wood hunting, he hears so many different types of birds, all that kind of noise. All the noise disappeared and gets very eerie. And then suddenly there's no noise whatsoever and everything becomes very still. And then a few minutes later, everything comes back to normal. Tim, when I was there in South Carolina, I let you hear those owl calls and you could hear the hoo-hoo, then the hoo-hoo-hoo. And then the one that it sounded to me was a used Sasquatch that was like, trying, I think his parents, I think his mom sounded off and his dad sounded off, and then he tried to mimic them. He was kind of being trained, and he sounded like crap. Well, they just sent me another recording of owls again as well. Hey, everybody, George Lunsford says hello. Enrique says that it's kind of funny that he mentioned the story, heard somebody talking. I do remember when sorry about that, when I was little, my mother used to tell us when they were outside in the woods and somebody calls anybody, just do not answer. And I now understand later that she may have known why, scary stuff, and what she said to all of us. With that in mind,
Yeah.
I gotta quote this. I haven't talked to him in a while. Michael Webb from his Echoes in the Hollows book. I was just, I'm a book guy looking for information. He has a couple of here it is. I found it. He has some very good advice in this book. And I'll just read a couple of them. Number one, don't leave food out. In some towns, it wasn't about bears. It was about them, the ones who come out at night, the ones that didn't break fences or steal chickens, but just stood at the edge of a clearing, sniffing, watching, and learning. Elders knew that a ham bone left too long on the porch invited more dogs. It opened something, a message, a pattern. It would bring them in. Don't go whistling after dark. Everyone knew that one. A whistle, like a flare in the silence, it draws attention. And in the right parts of the mountain, the intention is not good. Now, we know about that. I got my picture of that one Sasquatch because it barked. But whistling is another thing. Don't, and this is what we're talking about. Old burial grounds, cemeteries. Don't camp near old burial grounds. People think about ghosts. It's not necessarily. It's about respect. The land remembers what it was, and some of what walks through these forests don't care for trespassers. A place that holds bones holds memory, and sometimes memory has weight. And then this one, what we were just talking about, or what Enrique talked about, never follow voices. This one gets whispered even now because sometimes in the woods, you'll hear your name, or a child laughing, or a baby crying, or someone calling hello from the dark. Only problem, you're alone, and you're not really alone. And usually sometimes the voice isn't quite right, maybe too smooth or too low or just a little off. Something trying hard to sound human-like. Oh my goodness. We could talk for hours. What I heard right in front of me, the Sasquatch talk. There's that one hunter, he heard that weird, like, help me. Well, he had caught it on thermal, and it was some weird Wendigo type, or what does George call him?
Right.
The Wraith? Yeah, the Wraith. Yep. In fact, here's George Lunsford right now. He says the general public is pushed to believe it doesn't exist by outside forces. Very good. Talking about Sasquatch and the belief in Sasquatch, and now dogmen. And I think that picture, I did agree. I thought that was a dogman as well on the NCI show last night, our live show last night. And then with the Martin Grove encounter and that family being killed down there. Absolutely amazing. Greetings from Kentucky, a #1 Donna Copus fan. Yeah, I can't wait to get back with Donna to reshoot some of her stuff. Trying to pull up the YouTube stuff. Having a little bit of trouble on this phone. Give me a second here.
One thing you mentioned, Boom Boom, the guy talked about it going real quiet. I've actually got audio files where you can hear the katydids and stuff hollering. They'll shut up completely. You can hear a bipedal creature walk up to my audio recorder, smell it, and take off running. It's gone for 3 or 4 hours. The katydids start calling again, and then they shut off. It comes back up, smells it, and goes back the way it comes from. So when things go quiet like that, there's usually a reason.
Oh, yeah, and I think that account I just read earlier, Donna Copus's friend, Rick Stiltner. So you got a Sasquatch shaking a tree. What's he doing? He's maybe intimidating you, but he's also distracting you. And then what did they hear to their left? Sounded like a Sasquatch jumping out of a tree and landing on the ground, big thud, and then taking off. Because usually, we all know now that if you see one, there's usually more of them together. Probably a whole clan has already surrounded you, and they definitely know you're there. Good stuff, good stuff. All right. Just checking in really quick. So, it was amazing. I always think about Sherry's episode because it definitely gifted you a footprint. Okay,
Yeah.
so, hey, Kim, we were talking about this earlier. And this is what I'm really primed for. Yeah, we got a lot of other stuff going on. The festivals, we're going to be you and I, Tim, will be at a couple of festivals. I got a couple up here. This is entertainment. But for me, we also need to bring the people at home. Speaking of that,
Mhm.
we need to bring the people at home more evidence. And speaking of that, I still haven't gone through the video we took in that area by you. And so we're up there. We saw eye shine. We got out of the truck. We were surrounded by howls, Sherry's footprint. I believe Naboo gifted you that footprint. We want the hard evidence. So that's what on the NCI show and the Bigfoots of America podcast show, Bigfoots of Michigan TV series, everything we do and we present to the folks at home, we believe it to be authentic and real. And right now, with all this AI stuff and CGI stuff, it is so needed. I was just on there today and I'm like, I can't tell if this one is real or not. It is so advanced now. So our job to me is not only to provide entertainment, but also hard evidence. When you were up on that mountain, what were some of the things when you took George up there that happened?
Well, we got up there and we found all kinds of structures. I mean, stuff that we didn't even see when we was up there, and it's just just like it was when you was up there, dead quiet, nothing, no birds, no crows, no squirrels, everything dead quiet, and we put our stuff out, and then I can't remember everything that went on, but I do remember when we was coming out, we started getting them on the SLS camera. And people say, well, the funny thing is, George just picked it up, mine didn't. And so I moved around, kept watching George heads of what, and that thing was standing, it looked to be about, I'd say at least 8.5 foot tall. And it was standing right there in the road where we met Robert that night that he come around to us. And there's nothing in that road. Why would that SLS camera pick it up? And then it picks up one in between two trees between the big one and us. We go around the road and it picking up a small one here and yonder. Just weird. I mean, it's one of them spots. I'll just put it like that.
Would you agree? And Sherry, this is for you too, because Sherry and I kind of mapped out her area where Naboo is at. Would you agree, Tim and Sherry, that Sasquatch try to get a place to make their own? Like I have a house I come to every day. I have a location, a piece of land that I come to. It's mine. Would you agree? I've heard rumors. I've heard people say some want their own mountaintop. Sherry, oh my gosh, that whole area. What do you guys think about that?
Go ahead, Sherry.
Well, I honestly believe that they do map out their areas and they protect it. As mine even claimed that he was the guardian. They will, I believe, protect that land. And it is for maybe hunting reasons as well, but also I think for spiritual reasons.
Yeah, I think. Go ahead, Tim.
Oh, that's okay. I was just going to say I'd have to agree because what I know about them, I run into a lot of them when I'm hunting, and they seem to like the same hunting areas that I do. I can find a place where they ain't none, and then it seems like sooner or later they'll show up. But to me, if you're that, and we know the size of these things, they have to have a lot of food. So if they've got a spot that's got plenty of food cover, they wouldn't want to leave that just to move around. You know what I mean? That,
Mhm.
Oh, right.
there's no sense in moving. It's like a good fishing spot. As long as I can catch fish in one spot, I'm going to stay there until they quit biting. And I think
Right.
they do the same thing. They'll stay there as long as the food supply's there.
Correct. I agree with you, Tim, on that, because even my brother has stated, even out west, when the buffalo would be migrating, they will migrate with the buffalo
Mhm.
when they hunt.
Interesting.
Hmm. So they do migrate with the food source.
Hey, everybody, we got Jim Sherman's chiming in. He's in our season 2, episode 5, Bigfoot 101. Jim Sherman, BFRO member, man, just a long-standing guy who knows a whole ton about Sasquatch. And I got to go up there to White Cloud, Michigan, and just kind of, we did a great episode with Jim. He's such a fun guy. But Jim says that he can't he says, I can't wrap my head around eye shine. It creeps me out. I have seen red eyes that responded to my movements, and I even ran down the road to chase them at one time. Disclaimer, I was with other people, so I felt more brave. that's Jim. And then Jim also says, hey, Sherry, I love your dog. He's not going to lie. But yeah,
Thank you.
Jim is a very knowledgeable guy on Sasquatch. Good to have him chiming in. Hey, Jim, by the way, you're welcome on this show anytime, my friend. In fact, I'll probably add you to the group. Why haven't I added Jim? I
Yes.
did it really quick. We'll add Jim to the group, so whenever he wants to be in our Friday Night Bigfoot Live, he can chime on in. Fantastic, guys. Yeah, and with all the recent stories, so I get shoved over here in my back, and then all week long, or the last 2 weeks, I've been talking to people just about the Cass River area. So carving out territories of their own is so important to them because their numbers are increasing again. And
Mhm.
that's what we're going to do, man. NCI show here at the Bigfoots of America podcast show. We are going to do our best to bring you real evidence, no AI stuff, no CGI stuff. I think that's our goal for 2026 and 2027, man. Eyewitnesses are always the best. Eyewitnesses are always number one. And then it's, to me, look, if you don't want to believe what's in front of you, because that's what we started off the show with, is why don't more people believe in Bigfoot? It's because, to me, and like you two said, they haven't dove into the subject enough. Number one, they're not taking the time. It's like anything. So if you're not going to take the time, Tim, what happened to you? Why are you going to, bust our balls, so to speak? Why are you going to
Right.
give us so much trouble? Just either be a contributor to the conversation or stay out of the conversation.
Mhm. Right.
And what gets me is they always say, well, there's no evidence. Well, I've got more evidence that they do exist than you do that they don't exist.
Exactly.
Oh, yep,
Exactly.
without a doubt. All right,
And
guys.
one
Well,
thing that
go ahead, Tim.
I was just going to say, Jim was talking about that eye shine. You know, that night that that we was out, me and you and Robert and Laura was out. That's the first time I've ever seen the eye shine. I've heard about it,
Okay.
and I thought something that big's got glowing red eyes that just glows on its own. And in my brain, I'm thinking that don't make sense. But I've also been in this long enough to know don't say no. So,
Right.
and then we've got to walking back, and I look out through the middle of the woods, and there's two big orange eyes are shining at me, and I was like, "Yes, finally, I got to see it."
Oh, man. Jim Sherman says he is totally down to hanging with us, guys. All right, Jim. Hey, after the show, I will send you a link, Jim. Thank you, Jerry Lentz. Man, Jerry has had recent activity, orb activity on his. In fact, I want to get out there. I need to it's funny because Jerry is another instance where he's like, look, I saw something out of the corner of my eye. I'm seeing orbs. He says, something's going on here. He's got interactive games going on. And then what happens when we really dig into it? Just down the street, I find what I now call the Garden of Eden, where there's a whole Sasquatch clan at. So, yeah, it's about digging. Look, if you're not interested in this subject, stay out of it. But if you
Right.
are, just dig a little bit deeper, and you're going to find everything you want to find. So, hey, any last thoughts before we close out the show?
Just another great show.
All right, guys. Oh, we love it, man. We love the people who tune in, and I'm just praying we have enough time to get everything done in 2026 that needs to be done, because I'm looking at my list right now going, oh boy. But most of all, for the folks at home, get ready. We're going to announce come March our 2 town hall meetings, one in Traverse City and one in Monroe, Michigan. And Jim Sherman, if you're still there, I would love to have you as a speaker at one or both of those town hall meetings. Totally up to you, my friend, but we'd love to have you there. You just lend a wealth of knowledge to everything you do in the Bigfoot world. So, all right, everybody at home, thanks for tuning in to another Bigfoot Live, Friday Night Bigfoot Live, right here at the Bigfoots of America podcast show. And we will see you next week, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Bye, everyone.
Bye.